Health is the ability to love and work. Before you diagnose yourself with depression or an inferiority complex, make sure you're not just surrounded by assholes. Being entirely honest with oneself is a good exercise. The mind is like an iceberg. It floats with 1/7 of its bulk above water. The ego is not master in its own house. The interpretation of dreams is the royal road to a knowledge of the unconscious activities of the mind. Out of your vulnerabilities will come your strength. Out of your vulnerabilities will come your strength. A woman should soften but not weaken a man. One day, in retrospect, the years of struggle will strike you as the most beautiful. The voice of the intellect is a soft one, but it does not rest until it has gained a hearing. Words have a magical power. They can bring either the greatest happiness or deepest despair. When inspiration does not come to me, I go halfway to meet it. The only person with whom you have to compare yourself is you in the past. The great question that has never been answered, and which I have not yet been able to answer, despite my 30 years of research into the feminine soul, is what does a woman want? A man who has been the indisputable favorite of his mother keeps for life the feeling of a conqueror. I cannot think of any need in childhood as strong as the need for a father's protection. The mind is its own place, and in itself can make a heaven of hell, a hell of heaven. Dreams are the royal road to the unconscious. We are what we are because we have been what we have been. When you are in love, you feel like you are floating in the clouds. How bold one gets when one is sure of being loved. The mind is like an iceberg. It floats with 1/7 of its bulk above water. Unexpressed emotions will never die. They are buried alive and will come forth later in uglier ways. Love and work. Work and love, that's all there is. The first human who hurled an insult instead of a stone was the founder of civilization. The madman is a dreamer awake. Everywhere I go, I find a poet has been there before me. Love is a state of temporary psychosis. The mind is not a vessel to be filled, but a fire to be kindled. Men are more moral than they think, and far more immoral than they can imagine. Everywhere I go, I find a poet has been there before me. When you trip over love, it's easy to get up, but when you fall in love, it is impossible to stand again. Dreams are the royal road to the unconscious. The madman is a dreamer awake. The mind is not a vessel to be filled, but a fire to be kindled. The more perfect a person is on the outside, the more demons they have on the inside. Most people do not really want freedom, because freedom involves responsibility. and most people are frightened of responsibility. To be healthy is wonderful if one isn't condemned to be alone. A human being is so miserable when all he wants is to stay alive. It is that we are never so defenseless against suffering as when we love, never so helplessly unhappy as when we have lost our loved object or its love. The more perfect a person is on the outside, the more demons they have on the inside. We are never as vulnerable as when we love. Love is the most effective means of overcoming shame. At the height of a loving relationship, there is no interest left for the environment. Happiness is the fulfillment of children's wishes. Individual freedom is not a cultural asset. It was at its greatest before any culture. Words and magic were originally one and the same. Even today, the word has a strong magical power. You can defend yourself against attacks. You are powerless against praise. There is no such thing as 100% truth, as 100% alcohol.